Hello once again, all my comic addictive friends out there in YouTube land. This is Comic Hoarder. Finally going through my collection. Being that it's October, I like to sit around, starting right at the beginning of the month, sit around and just veg out on horror movies, horror TV shows, Halloween specials, that type of stuff. And I figured if I'm going to be doing that, sitting around, I might as well try and put my collection in some type of order finally. So as I'm digging through, I'm going to pull out not just keys, but some key issues, some number ones, and some variants. Not all my variants, because I went through a point where I was buying a lot because my shop gives me really good deals, especially on variants they have multiples of. But you know, because I don't buy as many as I used to. Because A, I'm concentrating on back issues more, and B, they got to the point where a lot of times the variants aren't better than the regular covers, which I think is kind of silly. So I also want to apologize because there's a couple books that I've shown in other videos, so you may have seen them. But I'm just going to start here, and it's going to be a multiple parter as I find more books and go through my collection. But starting off, I've shown this one before, but this is the 3D edition of Action 851. And this is the Last Son of Krypton story arc by Jeff Johns and Richard Donner, and Adam Kubert signed that for me. This is a variant I really like. This is the variant to Action 861, the finale of Superman and the Legion of Superheroes arc by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Excellent read if you haven't checked it out. But to me, what makes this cover cool is Mike Grell did this variant. And Mike Grell is, I really like his work, but he's more synonymous with Green Arrow and Warlord. But he did some great work on Legion, and he did this variant, and I really like this cover. Awesome. This is a book that at one point was very hot in the early 80s when the Dungeons and Dragons boom was about and indie books were heating up. And it was by Adventure Publications, and this is Adventures #1. It was a very hot book for a minute, and this copy's just mangled. It's my original copy I had when I was a kid. And after it was mildly successful, Aircell took it over, and this is the first Aircell issue. And this, I'm not familiar with this guy, is HSU, Sue, did this painted cover to Adventures Book 2 #1, and that's an awesome looking cover, I think, man. Really pretty painted cover. These books aren't key or valuable now, but at one point in the 80s, you know, that first print of Adventures #1 was going for $40-50 in near mint at one point in probably like the early to mid 80s, but not anymore. They were key at one time. This is another book that didn't last too long, do too great. This is the Aftermath 2004 Diamond Retailers Summit exclusive red foil cover. So I got that. This is the American Epic versions, obviously, of Akira. This is #1. I'm a huge fan of this series. I think I'm about 5 or 6 issues away from the complete run on the Epic books. But that's #1 by Katsuhiro Otomo. And this, out of all the American Akira books, this is probably the rarest and most valuable. Maybe goes for $50. But this is the final issue number 38. And the prices on these really vary when they do come up for sale. It's a cool issue, and it also has a bunch of American creators and even French creators like Jean-Gerard Mobius did various pin-up art pages in the back of the Akira characters, so that was really cool to see. This, again, not a valuable book, not really a key, but this is the Alien Legion #1, another Marvel Epic book from the 80s. And as a kid, I really loved this series, and a couple years back, I got a steal on a complete run of this book. I got it for like $28 or $30, and then I went down and tracked down the Alien Legion 80s Marvel graphic novel, and I really liked the art on this book back then, and it still really holds up. The art is by Frank Sirocco and inked by Terry Alston, and it's really, really good. And this book is cheap. I think even number one's only worth $4 or $5. So not really a key issue per se. Moving along. Yeah, but like I said, some of these aren't keys. They're just number ones that I liked or at one point were hot. Some of them are, a lot of these are variants. But moving along, this is Alpha Flight 33. This is first appearance of Lady Deathstrike. And this is an awesome Mike Mignola cover. I got a complete run of Alpha Flight as well, really cheap. And it's not a bad book. I really like it, actually. The first arc or two, John Byrne did the art on. And, you have a couple varied covers. Mike Mignola did a cover or two. Jim Lee even did a cover. So, good stuff. Good cheap stuff, if you want to get a run of it. It's not too, again, like number one's $5 or $10 max, and you can get them all pretty reasonably priced. This is Amazing Adventures number 12. And this is the second appearance of the Furry Beast, and he fights Iron Man in this issue. And this is actually a pretty sharp copy. It has one little small bend there. It really doesn't even break color on the cover. I always say that. Doesn't break color on the cover. And it's a pretty cool issue. This is Dark Horse's Army of Darkness movie adaptation, part 1 of 3. Gorgeous cover. Painted cover by John Bolton. And I have 1 and 2. I don't have number 3, but this is the first Army of Darkness comic. So that's a cool one. I need to get on number 3. This, move over a bit. This is the red foil variant to Army of Darkness from the Ashes. And I'm not sure who painted. Oh, it is Arthur. It is Soydam who painted this cover. But this cover was a Baltimore Comic Con exclusive. And was limited to only 500 copies, so that's a pretty low print run on that variant there. Scoop that up. This is Astonishing Tales number 25. This is George Perez's first art. It might even be his first art overall, I think, but it's definitely his first art at Marvel. And this is the first appearance of Deathlock the Demolisher. Excuse me. This is a good copy, but it has a few issues. A little bit of rubbing at the top there. There's top of the screen, small ding there. Small one there. Right at the bottom of your screen now. And then one in the middle, right above the yellow dialogue box there. But a few small flaws on the spine, but nothing too major. Still pretty nice copy there. This here is Astro City by Kurt Busiek. This is number 1. This is the first Astro City in comics. And that is an awesome, awesome series. I know a lot of people are enjoying the new series, and it's good, but if you even like the new series, you'll love the old stuff. I mean, every story arc, every trade is worth picking up. And one of the main reasons behind this book's greatness, in my opinion, is something really rare is, especially in today's comic market, same exact creative team has been working on this book since its very first issue in the 90s, and that's Kurt Busiek on writing, and Brent Anderson on art, and Alex Ross on covers. And I believe Alex Ross also helped on the character design, but they're the ones still doing it, if you notice. So, yeah, that's a kick-ass book. In my opinion, you want to start with the first 2 trades. I think it's called Life. The first one's called Life in the Big City, I believe. And the second one, I think, is called Family Album. But yeah, if you haven't read the early Astro City stuff, do yourself a favor. As much as I like Marvel's rather, the 4-issue mini that Alex Ross and Busiek did, Astro City is his best work. I love it. So, enough fanboying over that book, but definitely check it out. You won't go wrong. This is another series that I'd recommend people go back and pick up the trades of. I have a complete run of Wildstorm's Authority, and basically their characters, for the most part, were rip-offs, making fun of Marvel and DC's major characters, and even some of the villains that came in were like versions. They had a villain version of the Avengers, and some cool stuff in these books. And this is number 1, and the creative team that made this so great was Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch, and Tom Neary on inks. And this was my first introduction to Brian Hitch's art, and that's an awesome cover. He's great. And number 13 is probably the second most valuable. None of these are too valuable. It's like maybe worth $10, but this book garners interest, and maybe you could consider a key because the next creative team took over, which was pretty much just as good, with Mark Millar and Frank Quitely on this book. Great series, the original Authority. Worth picking up. Such a good read. Sorry about that. Moving books. Okay. And again, I know I had some more Avengers keys, but once I get everything in order, I'll be making more videos. But this is Avengers 85, a very sweet copy. It only has a small problem, tiny bit of rubbing above the bottom staple. If you can see that, it's very insignificant though. And then some rubbing on the bottom corner. But this is a pretty sharp copy of Avengers 85, and as you can see, it's the introduction of Squadron Sinister, or also known as Squadron Supreme, which was basically Marvel's jab at the Justice League. It's a cool book. And, you know, the Squadron Supreme relaunch that Straczynski and Gary Frank did in the early 2000s was pretty awesome too, in my opinion. Good read there. Moving along, I actually have 2 copies of this. This is the better of the 2. This is Avengers Annual 10. It's the first appearance of Rogue. There she is in between Blob and Pyro there with the green hood. Looks a lot different now. And I really liked this issue as a kid. Just advertise all the cool stuff going on in this issue. And cool cover by Michael Golden. I have a lot of the New Avengers variants, but these are 2 of my favorites. A, because they kind of have the throwback retro layout of the cover, but also because of the artist that did them. But this, startling stories featuring the Sentry. This is actually New Avengers number 7 variant by Neil Adams. Very cool. And this one I think is even cooler. This is the variant to New Avengers number 8. Startling stories featuring the Sentry, the marriage issue, the wedding of the Sentry, by John Romita Sr. and Al Milgrom. Badass variant. When I'm going to pay extra for a variant, I want something that stands out, something that's better than the normal cover. This is New Avengers number 27 variant, and this was either a 1 in 50 or 1 in 100. Might even been a 1 in 100, because I remember I got it just because he gave me such a good break on the price. And it's still a pretty cool cover by Linnell Yu. But I got an awesome deal on that. I think I got that for like $20. So, this is kind of a bland looking variant, but it's just a black and white version of the normal cover. And this is the New Avengers 23 variant. I think, if my memory serves me correct, you could only get this at either Wizard World Philly or Baltimore or maybe Pittsburgh, but it was definitely a convention exclusive. This is the New Avengers military giveaway. You see it says not for resale. Marvel salutes the real heroes, the men and women of the U.S. military. And, this was a giveaway, but I don't think it was too widely dispersed, if I remember correctly. So, picked that up when I saw it. And I need to go back and get the rest of these, because I thought it was a cool idea. When the newer Tron movie came out, Tron Evolution, Mark Brooks did a bunch of variants of Marvel characters of how they would look in the Tron universe. And I'm a big Moon Knight fan. And I saw this one, so I grabbed it. And that's what Moon Knight would look like in the Tron arena. And I just think that's an awesome idea. I know they did a Ghost Rider. They did a few other characters. But I like Moon Knight, and I remember that being the coolest looking one. And they're probably not too expensive. But there's so many things I'm like, oh, I should go back and get this. Oh, I'm missing this issue. And, you know, got a lot of stuff I got to get done, I guess. Moving along, more variants. These are the Dark Avengers variants. And this is the variant to number 1 of Norman Osborn as Super Patriot by 80 Granov. This is the variant to number 2 with Moonstone as Miss Marvel and all the other Dark Avengers on her puppet strings, and this is by Mike Choi. This is a cool one. This is the Bullseye variant with Bullseye in the background, and he's posing as Hawkeye, and that's by Daniel Acuna. And this one I really like. This is the Venom Black Spider-Man variant, and this is what's cool about this, in my opinion, is by Francis J. Manapul, and he's mostly known as a DC guy, especially now. But he did do this variant for Dark Avengers 4, and I think that is a kick-ass cover. Really like that one. He did a good job there. This series, Avengers vs. Invaders, I really liked, and I thought they did a good job on the variants. I couldn't find my number 3. I know I have it, but I just thought they did a good job on these variant covers, and they put a lot of talented artists on them, so I'm going to share them with you all real quick. And that's the variant to number 1 by David Finch. That's the sketch variant to the Alex Ross cover. He did all the regular covers, which are gorgeous. Definitely worth checking out. This is the variant to number 2 by Mike Perkins. I really, really dig that. Great rendering of Cap and Bucky going into battle there. This is the variant to number 4. This is by Alan Davis. And we're coming down the home stretch here finally. Yeah, this one's been mostly variants, but I have some Batman stuff to show too. I guess I'll make that a separate video so as not to go too long. But next will be some Batman and Battle of the Planets and stuff. But this is the Avengers Invaders number 5 variant. I really like this one. This is by Mike Deodato Jr. Awesome pick of cover rather of Namor fighting Miss Marvel. And looks like Carol Danvers has her hands full there. She's a badass, but fighting Namor in water is not a good idea. And that I love Mike Deodato's art. He's someone who I liked at the beginning. I think the first work I saw of his was on Wonder Woman, and he's just gotten better and better and better. And his use of light and dark is just masterful now. Really like Deodato's work. I think he's one of the best pencilers in the business currently. This is the variant to Avengers Invaders number 6 by Oliver Coipel. Pretty cool. This one I also really like. This is the number 7 variant of Avengers Invaders. And this is by Pascal Ferry. Try and get some focus on that. This might be my favorite of all the variants. This is the number 8 variant. And this is by Steve Epting and colored, as always, by Frank D'Armata. It's got Bucky, Union Jack, Namor, and Cap on there. And it's also got, looks like Toro and Human Torch. And what's her name? Fury or Firebrand? Can't remember. Drawing a blank. I should know that. Shame on me. I think it might be Firebrand. Number 9. This is by the variant by Arthur Soydam. This one I also really like. This is the variant to number 10 by Mitch Breitweiser with the Fallen Heroes and the Red Skull. If I can get some focus. That's an awesome cover. This one I also really like. I haven't seen this guy doing a lot of work lately, but I love this cover. It's the variant to number 11 by Renato Guidis. And it's Cap. It's hard to see, but it's the reflections of all the new Avengers coming at him. And regular Avengers coming at him in his shield. I really like that cover. And the last one I'm going to show is the variant to number 12 by Dale Eaglesham. And I thought they got a lot of really talented artists to do a lot of cool covers for this series. And that's why, you know, a lot of times when I see the variants at my store, I'm like, but these were good enough that I hopped on all of them. Every one of them, like, yep, I'll take that. So, I know I have number 3. I'll have to find it. But I'll be back at everyone soon with another video of some more key issues, variants, number 1s, things like that as I go through my collection. But as always, thanks for taking the time to check out my books. I always enjoy sharing them with all of you. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and happy comic book reading.